You're watching ShotokuTech, Saturday Story Time, 5 December 2020 edition. Hi, welcome back to ShotokuTech. Let's get started. So the Utah Monolith we just talked about last week, guess what? It's disappeared and it's been replaced by a pyramid and a pile of rocks. This was a 12-foot tall vertical metal prism. You can watch my last episode and see it was there. On November 18, Utah Department of Public Safety was counting big horned sheep in the area on a helicopter, and they spotted this large shiny object, and they went and found this monolith. Officials never publicly disclosed the location, but as we saw, celebrities and, hikers and alien enthusiasts would be tempted to travel to this remote area of the desert, potentially getting lost or injured. So they're assuming that the Bureau of Land Management moved it, but it's considered public lands, private property. BLM does not have the authorization to remove it, and the San Juan County Sheriff's Office will handle the investigation. They actually considered that this monolith is vandalism. It's unauthorized, so it has better craftsmanship than the graffiti you might see out in the desert, but they still consider it vandalism. So even this pyramid and pile of rocks here is also vandalism. We're supposed to leave this private land undisturbed. This is an interesting story. Let's see how it develops. I know I previously talked about this Australian observatory. It's called the Australian Square Kilometre Array Pathfinder. And we talked about that in a previous story, but this one goes into great detail about the operation of this gigantic telescope in Australia. And they're mapping galaxies millions at a time at record-breaking speed. They're going to create a Google map of the universe. They mapped these 3 million galaxies in just 300 hours or 12.5 days. This is a significant increase from previous surveys, which have taken years. This is the very latest in science and technology, answering age-old questions about the mysteries of the universe. And it's giving astronomers around the world new breakthroughs to solve their challenges. Scientists also expect to find tens of million new galaxies in the future. Astronomers around the world will be able to use the new data to explore the unknown and study everything from star formation to how galaxies and their supermassive black holes evolve and interact. This is 36 dish antennas which work together to take panoramic photographs of the sky. So the high quality of these receivers means that they only need to combine 903 images to form a full map of the sky compared to previous surveys, which needed tens of thousands of images. So thanks for that, Australia. We're looking forward to more from ASCAP. Okay, so not to be left out, Romania has its own mysterious monolith appear. Well, you can see the dirt got kind of churned up on that one. It's almost identical to the now famous Utah monolith. This has little scribbles scratched on the entire face of it, but it stands about the same height as the Utah twin. And it's just a few feet away from where an ancient Dacian forest once stood. Let's get the pronunciation, please.
Dacian. Dacian.
Dacian.
Dacian.
Dacian.
Dacian.
Dacian. So this European monolith is only a few feet away from where an ancient Dacian fortress once stood. It's still shiny and silver and quite reminiscent of a John McCracken sculpture. McCracken died in 2011. The artist's son told the Times his father had talked about creating art meant for remote places before his death. The theory is inconclusive, but the David Zwimmer Gallery, which has hosted McCracken's work for decades, says it's indeed a McCracken piece. And down below here they talk about how the Utah monolith disappeared. There's a reference in this article to a person posting on Reddit, but I can't show you the name because it'll get my channel banned. It's so vulgar. So this poster on Reddit saying he followed the helicopter until it went below radar altitude, and they could determine approximately where they landed, and then using Google Earth, they determined that this object was not at that location. This is the Utah monolith, was not there in 2015, but it was there in 2016. So that Utah monolith has been there for quite some time. All right, this story is going to continue to develop, I imagine. You know, we just reported last week that China sent this probe to the moon, and it's going to do a sample return mission. Well, it just landed this week, so I forgot how close the moon is apparently. So I was kind of shocked. It's like, it's already there? I don't know who took the picture of the lander. I'm a bit puzzled by that. But apparently here it is sampling some moon rocks. It landed on December 1st, Tuesday. And this is the Sea of Storms on the moon's near side, descending from an orbiter. So this is Chang'e, named after the goddess of the moon, and this is Chang'e 5. So it launched on November 24th. Let's see how long it took. So it launched on November 24th, so it took a week to get there. All right. So they plan to spend 2 days drilling on the lunar surface and collect up to 4 pounds or 2 kilograms of rocks and debris. Good luck with that. Well, sad news, Aricebo's radio telescope massive hanging platform has collapsed. And I think if you go on the internet now, you'll find video and photos of this giant radio telescope is in total disarray. All 3 of the cables have collapsed, and this huge science platform is plunged all the way through the dish. It's pretty much, we're looking at the end of Aricebo. National Science Foundation owns this site, and they decided in November to proceed with decommissioning the telescope in response to this damage. They deemed it was too severe to stabilize without risking people's lives. But they need to come up with a plan how to safely demolish the telescope in a controlled manner. But gravity did its job again on Tuesday, December 1st at about 8 a.m. And it's a sad day for astronomy and planetary science worldwide, one of the most iconic telescopes of all time. But as we just reported, the new telescope, the ASCAP thing in Australia, is going to produce many, many new interesting results. So we still have lots to look forward to. Yes, it's kind of a bummer from a historic perspective, but I think we can keep looking to the future for many exciting new findings with new technology. So we've already spoken about this a couple times on ShotokuTech Saturday Storytime. This Paul Chodas has been watching this 2020 SO, which is about to orbit the Earth, if it hasn't already, and they suspect that it is the spent second stage of a Centaur rocket that launched in the early 60s the Surveyor 2 probe to the moon. Here we see the Surveyor 2 actually crashed on the moon. Tragically, it came 16 hours after the launch, when one of 3 small engines attached to the spacecraft leg failed and it went into a spin. So this is 54 years ago this launch took place. Now here in Hawaii, they traced this small arc which caught the attention of astronomers the next morning. Whenever you see an object that moves in a slightly curved path, that means it has to be close. Within a few hours, this Dr. Chodas was studying the object and poring over the records of space launches in 1966 that aligned with the orbital path in his computer program that had mapped out this Centaur rocket that flew Surveyor 2. It's roughly 25-foot long cylindrical booster, and it disappeared in space. It's basically orbiting the sun in a similar orbit to the Earth. The optical colors have matched. This 2020 SO looks like the Centaur rocket. But they need infrared observations. The orbit is a little bit different from what they expected based on gravity alone, and they expect that that was due to the pressure of sunlight, the photons, the energy that is exerted when they collide with something. So they're causing a gentle push away from the sun on this 2020 SO. Okay, so it has been captured by the Earth's gravity early in November, and it will make its closest approach on Tuesday. So we should hear more on the topic. And it'll be back in 2036. Okay, so here it is 2 days later, and Chang'e 5 plants the Chinese flag on the moon, and it takes off. It's returning to Earth with that 4 pounds or 2 kilograms of lunar rock samples and soil. China will be only the third country to have retrieved samples from the moon, following the US and Soviet Union in the 60s and 70s. And this is the first such robotic attempt since Soviet Union's Luna 24 mission in 1976. Remember, Chang'e 4 is still out there on the far side of the moon. China's also talking about manned missions to Mars. I don't know if you're seeing what I'm seeing, but this is just getting nuts. Here, the third monolith has appeared in California. This is atop a California mountain, just days after the similar headlines from Utah and Romania. It looks approximately the same size. It's very shiny, and this is on Pine Mountain in Atascadero, California. It drew visits from dozens of hikers who ventured out to catch a glimpse of the structure. It has 3 sides and appears to be made of stainless steel. It's a mystery indeed. And its sudden existence comes after the 2 other monoliths we just got through talking about. Oh, here, someone, TikTok user Sylvan Christensen, took credit for removing the Utah monolith. We removed the Utah monolith because there are clear precedents for how we share and standardize the use of our public lands, natural wildlife, native plants, freshwater sources, and human impacts upon them, the statement said. The mystery was the infatuation, and we want to use this time to unite people behind the real issues. We're losing our public lands. Things like this don't help. Okay, this is getting crazy now. We talked about this story a while back too. NASA was offering contracts to collect moon rocks and soil samples. All you had to do was go to the moon before 2024, collect the rocks, identify where that sample is and how you collected it, and you can leave it right there. Well, they were talking about lots of money, but now this startup, Lunar Outpost, has basically outbid everybody, and they're only going to get $1 for each sample collection. The startup is one of 3 companies that NASA selected for low-cost lunar resource collection program announced earlier this year, with 2 other winners being California-based Maston Space Systems and Tokyo-based iSpace. Now, Lunar Outpost says they were going there anyway, so charging $1 for these samples wasn't that big of a deal. NASA wants to pay companies for individual collections of lunar regolith or moon soil between 50 and 500 grams, and they outlined it's only paying companies to collect the material and say where NASA can find it on the moon's surface. Well, hey NASA, I've got one for you. I found the entire moon and I can tell you exactly where it's at. I'll let you have it all for, how about $1 a rock? Just I'll let you know where to send it. Okay? Thank you for watching ShotokuTech Saturday Storytime. Also, please follow my blog on blogger.com because it's a fully searchable compendium of all the articles I've covered dating back to December of 2019. Thank you and have a great week. Thank you for watching ShotokuTech. Please subscribe, comment, like, and share.